Hello, hello. Kisses from Thailand. This is Magda K, and today I'm answering your questions about open relationships. So, in the last few days, you guys have been sending me really, really amazing questions. So, I'll do my best to answer all of them or as many as I can. And I try to make it concise. You guys know I'm a talker, so let's see how well I can do at that. Um, so the very first thing I want to address is what is an open relationship, because I feel like a lot of confusion comes from there, and a lot of questions kind of imply like, is it an actual relationship? Is it just friends with benefits? Like, it's not a relationship. How do you even know you're in a relationship? So, the way I like to look at it is that it's a relationship, not open, not closed, not monogamous. These are labels, and as human beings, we love using labels. It says, as long as I don't put a label on something, I cannot understand what it is. And so right now we look at this like monogamous relationship versus an open relationship. Now, we have a very clear idea of what a monogamous relationship is, because that's kind of what we've been taught by the society. The institution of marriage supports it. There's like legal definition basically of what a monogamous relationship is. And so basically anything that doesn't fit in this definition lands in this vast ocean of open relationships. But within that umbrella, there's so many different formats. So yeah, it can be friends with benefits. Absolutely. It can be having, let's say, two, three equally important partners. So in a way, instead of just having one boyfriend, this kind of like monogamous relationship with one person, I have that with one person and with another person, and maybe even with the third person. I can have the main relationship, like my primary relationship, and then have like secondary relationships, or I can have lovers outside of this main primary relationship. Or maybe I'm creating a little family. It's one, let's say, man and two women, or one woman and two men, and they're exclusive and closed within the structure of three people. So I would say that for the sake of this conversation, let's just use open relationship for anything that is not our standard monogamous relationship. Understanding that there's so many different types. And, we've been using the label and defining monogamous relationship for so long, and we're only starting to use this term in an open relationship. And I'm sure already you have like polyamory, polyfidelity, and I've heard like other different terms that I cannot even repeat. So we're trying to kind of give the names for different forms of open relationships. So I will just say, like, forget about the label. I like to look at it as open relating. So it's basically allowing ourselves the space to go and explore connection with other people. And it may be emotional, mental, it may be also sexual, it doesn't have to. So once again, there are just different ways of approaching that. So that's kind of like answering a lot of questions with just what actually is an open relationship. So let me jump to a very specific question that I got from someone. I really like this one. What is the common way that open relationships fail? And what are some helpful tips that I can provide to avoid this pitfall? So first of all, I would say, like with any relationship, whether it's open or closed, I would say there are certain things that apply to both. So, are you actually taking care of your partner? Like, are they important for you, or do you take them for granted? And whereas in a monogamous relationship, in a way, you have the security of this framework around you. When you start practicing open relationships, that becomes even more important. So I was actually at the very beginning, when I started experimenting with open relating, I spoke to my really good friend who has been practicing open relationship for a few years, so he had more experience. And I told him one of my big pains in this situation is that I want to be someone's number one. And he said, instead of worrying about whether you're someone number one or not, just focus on, being the best you. And when you're with them, providing them great time, really taking care of them. So that this idea, am I his number one or not, it's not even there. Because if you really are taking care of your lover and this relationship and yourself, then this person will want to be with you. So, especially when you're married, when you have the paper that says you're in a relationship, we have a tendency of kind of take it easy, like, well, I don't have to be taking care of this relationship so much. In open relating, because there are different partners who may be providing something better to your boyfriend, girlfriend, you have to put in more effort. And I think when we get lazy and we're like, well, I don't really want to do this, your lover has other lovers. So it's very easy for them to say, look, if you don't want to like help me, if you don't want to hold space for me, if you're not providing me these things that I really want to have, I have 3 other men or 3 other women who will. So it's kind of it's almost as you always have to be on your best behavior, because nothing is granted, nothing belongs to you. It's much more easier to lose it. It's like economically, it's like an open market. You know, like if you don't provide the best offer, the best service, your customers are going to go to someone else. So that's a really big thing in open relationship, in my opinion, and from what I see around, is that you always, every day, you have to be at your best behavior, as in every day you want to make sure that you're really investing in this relationship and you're taking care of it. So the moment you start getting lazy, this is when you can lose your partner. That would be number one. Number two, it's communication. So it's extremely important you communicate. Now, communication is important per se in any relationship. But there's so many things that come up when you start relating openly to other people. You have to talk through these things. There absolutely will be moments when you will find another person and you feel like, oh my God, they're like, this relationship is so much better than my old one. And you may be tempted to leave your old relationship. And it's normal, but it's good to recognize it. And when this moment comes, you want to talk to your main lover, you can take a break. You can also decide to close a relationship for a little bit so you get to refocus on yourself. But unless you talk about these things and you openly communicate that these things are coming up for you, it's easy for this relationship to just kind of dissolve. So I would say these two things are like little traps, and also the areas that will allow you to strengthen your relationship. Okay, the other question is about the jealousy, whether jealousy is learned or is it natural, and is there anything we can do about it? So first of all, a friend of mine once said that jealousy is not a real feeling. Jealousy is like a cover up for something else. So really look at the times when you got jealous. Like, why do we get jealous? Because we're afraid that our partner is going to leave us. What does that mean? I'm going to be abandoned. I'm going to be rejected. And this is one of the core primary fears that human beings have. If you ever did any psychotherapy or any like deeper work with a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a healer, you know that there are certain core wounds that we carry, and abandonment is one of them. So we all have it to a different degree, but we all have it. So jealousy basically is the feeling that is trying to hide a very deep pain that, oh my God, I may get abandoned right now because they may find someone better. So focus on jealousy per se doesn't actually solve anything. So whenever jealousy comes up, it's good to take a bit of time and really understand, why am I feeling jealous? It also usually comes to the idea that we perceive the world as a place of scarcity. So there's only that much love I can get. There's only that many lovers I can get. So this is why, yes, in open relationships, this jealousy comes up a lot. And a lot of people say that I cannot go into open relationships because I'm too jealous. Everyone is jealous. It's about, do you have the courage to look why you're jealous? If you get very, very triggered, it probably means that, whatever happened in your childhood, whatever wounds and beliefs you carry, they somehow made you believe that love is a very limited source. And now you found a partner who's giving you love. So when they suddenly start engaging with someone else, you feel that the love is being taken away from you. And it's very normal. We all think this way. So it's a really rewiring of your brain to understand that even if my lover goes with someone else or falls in love with someone else, it doesn't take their love away from me. And a great example is a mother who has 3 children. Like, it's not like a mother has a limited amount of love, and if she has 1 child, all of this love goes on 1. If she has 2, suddenly each child gets only half of the love. And oh my God, what if she has 3 kids? So all of the women know it, and I'm sure men who can observe mothers that see as well. And as a child, you've seen it. It's not like, love is split in between kids. We have the capacity to love equally multiple people. This love can be a little bit different, sure, but we have this capacity. And so When we feel jealous, it goes back to this idea that there's not enough love. So the first thing is, continuously reminding yourself that love is abundant. Love is like energy, it's not limited. And also recognize that there's jealousy everywhere in your life. There's jealousy around money, around success in business. There's jealousy about how people look, or let's say someone travels. I was just recently on a Skype call with my really, really good friend. She is now living in London. And I told her, I'm looking at all of your photos from all of the things that you're doing in London, and I'm jealous. And why am I jealous? Because it's something I would like to do, but I live on the island. I am in Koh Phangan in Thailand right now. These things don't happen here. So in some way, I feel like, oh, you're having a better life than me. So, you know, you can decide not to deal with jealousy in a relationship, but just understand that jealousy is present everywhere in your life. So you can make a decision that, you know what, I do want to deal with jealousy. And frankly, I think open relationships are the best environment to actually work on that. So when you start working on jealousy within the intimate relationships, you'll notice how that's impacting other areas of your life as well. Okay, next question is really, really good. And I've been asked that before. So let's say you start dating a new person. When is the good time to tell them that you are either in an open relationship or that this is the way that you want to relate to people? That's a tricky one because, when you're on a first date and you don't even really know if you like the other person, if you want to continue with them, it's not like you're just gonna bring it up. Hey, by the way, I want you just to know that I practice open relationships. Especially that for people who have never heard of the concept, it may be really, off-putting. It may shock them. So this is tricky, and it really depends on the situation that you're in. So, like for me, for example, I live on the island where most of people practice open relationships. We know that someone is dating someone, so it's like it's natural. You don't even really have to say that. That's super easy. But it's also true that a lot of people who do practice any form of polyamory, we live in communities that allow us to practice it in a free way, and that also makes this whole discussion naturally flow easily. So it is one of the solutions. Secondly, I would say if you are with someone and you can sense that they've never done open relationships, they might not have even heard of it, then it's something you want to slowly bring up. So maybe just ask them first some questions, have you ever considered, this thing called open relationships? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, how do you feel about monogamy? Just try to sense them first. What are their views and what are their beliefs? And just start having a conversation to open them up to this new idea. And so you take it step by step. That also means that you don't wanna go too fast in into jumping into this relationship, because I do believe that it's not really fair if you're with someone and you never actually stated that you don't want a monogamous close relationship, and you start engaging emotionally very deeply, because if you then drop this big bomb on a person, they will feel like you lied to them. And frankly, I can understand that, because the majority of people assume that if you go on a date and a second date and a third and fourth, that you start going into the monogamous relationship. So I would say the better, the sooner. But yes, you do want to test the grounds and see how they feel. It's kind of like when you're going into the monogamous relationship. At one point, you gotta have the conversation about exclusivity. Here, at one point, you gotta have the conversation about being open. Um, I will say from my own experience, I was in a situation when I was already opening up intimately with a man. And from my side, this is a bit how I look at connection with people. When I get naked with you, it means that I really, really like you, and there's already connection from my side. So this man, said that I want you to know that I am in an open relationship, and I wanted us to discuss it before we become intimate. And it was great that he said that. But in my mind, we had already been intimate. So for me, it actually hurt me to hear it at this time. I would have preferred to hear it before. So there's no right or wrong answer. You really have to sense your partner, but I would say the sooner the better. Okay. here's another question. So how do you talk to your partner about opening up an existing closed relationship? Well, it's not easy, especially if it's something that comes from one person. Now, if you are both into, maybe sacred sexuality, tantra, and it's something that, let's say, you both, like, the message gets to you both at the same time in a way, so you both somehow exploring it, it's easy. But if it's just one of you, and suddenly you're going to bring it up on the other person, again, that's like dropping a bomb, and you have to understand that it's going to have consequences. Once you say that, you cannot take it back. And now your partner may be open to the idea, and if you start, talking about it, they may discover that actually they would love to experiment with that as well. But it may also happen that they will get hugely, hugely triggered. Um, and you'll have to see what's important for you as well. Now, I have a lot of friends who wanted to explore open relationships, and anytime they would talk about it, it would trigger both of them extremely. And their conclusion every single time was that, okay, you know what? Because what we have between the two of us is more important for us than exploring an open relationship, we're gonna stay closed. So if that's the case, you'll have to make your own decision. Do you want to put this relationship with the other person as your priority number one, or is right now exploring your, more important for you? In other ways, are you in a position to give your partner an ultimatum saying that, look, right now in my life, I really want to go open, and I invite you to join me on this journey. If you're not ready, I understand it, but I would ask you to let me do it, and in this time it may mean that we will separate. I've had situations like this as well. I mean, not to me directly, but I had friends who went through this. Before you start discussion with your partner, you have to understand these two scenarios and know what your answer is going to be. I actually recently coached someone who had the same challenge. They really wanted to be in an open relationship, and their partner was like postponing the conversation. They didn't want to look into it. And one of the things I said is that, they can play you like this for years. You have to understand what your priority are, and when enough is enough. So when you're going in the conversation, know what it's a negotiation in a way. Know what you're willing to give in and what is your absolute non-negotiable. What is that you really, really want, and what's the most important for you. And of course, remember, this person was with you in a monogamous relationship. They had their security. The moment you bring it up, you're crushing the security walls for them. So you have to understand that they may feel really shocked. They may feel betrayed because, they sign up for a monogamous relationship and suddenly you want to change the rules. So you have to be really considerate. And once again, the ability to communicate and be empathic and be with them and listen, it's very important. And this is usually the time when many couples do something that I don't know if it's really good. So let's say if a woman is not ready for an open relationship and men wants it, then the woman's like, okay, you go and explore, but I don't want to know about it. From my experience, that doesn't work. It's pretending that the thing is not there. It's like, unfortunately, many women, when they find out that their men cheated on them, they just pretend that they don't know. And I don't think it's healthy. And in a way, if you go with this notion that, okay, you go and you can have other lovers, but I don't want to know about it, it's like me pretending that this is not happening. And this is not healthy, and it is going to come back and bite you in the ass, trust me. So I don't think this is a good solution. I think it's good to give yourself steps. So let's say, okay, it's a new thing. So maybe first we will just allow ourselves maybe to go on dates without anything happening. And maybe then we will talk to each other about these dates. Maybe we invite a third person and have a threesome. So you may decide what are the steps you feel comfortable with taking so that you eventually manage to open up. And that also actually is a good way to deal with this. So instead of just going right into that, just take it step by step. And even if you're the one who really wants an open relationship, you may not be aware of the triggers that will come up for you as well. So it's still good for you to take it step by step. Okay, how do you deal with judgment from the other people? That's a really big topic because there's so much so many opinions. So the moment you start talking about something that's different from what the society does, everyone has an opinion. And like the amount of comments that I got, you're a slut, oh, you are just fuck buddies, you're afraid of commitment, so much judgment. And I'm not even quoting like, the worst things, because I don't think I can actually put this online. I would be banned. But really, really nasty comments, both from men and women. Um, and it's a little bit like when we talk about homosexuality, or marriages between the same sex, or homosexual couples adopting children. These are difficult topics, and because we're still, open relationships haven't been open for very long, so it's still rather fragile and sensitive topic for people who practice that. And so when suddenly the whole world comes and attacks you, it's not easy. And so I would say, honestly, at this time of where the society is and the level of acceptance and tolerance that we have, I honestly think that, keeping some things to yourself, it's absolutely fine. Like, I'm right now being public with this video. You don't have to do that. I'm aware that I'm gonna get a lot of very nasty comments under this video. And in a way, it's like a trade-off for my work that I do. I've been getting really nasty comments even when I was still teaching marketing online. So it doesn't matter what I say, there'll always be people who are just gonna hate you. But I've already developed some sort of a muscle to deal with that. If you're only starting, I really think is having your group of support is good. There's a lot of groups on Facebook around polyamory and open relating. I think joining those and starting conversations is good. You're gonna find a lot of videos on YouTube, like mine or other people, so you can also follow them and kind of get together with the tribes that follow these authors online. Um, you know, you can search some parties, like even sex parties. Parties like this usually invite people who are in some way open. And so start building your tribe and then share with this tribe. You do want to have someone you can talk to. And just, your family and your current friends may not be the right people. Your colleagues may not be the right people. Your boss may not be the right person to talk to about these things. Just because they're not exposed to this, so they will be shocked and they may attack you. So I would keep a lot of these things to yourself. At the same time, it's very important to have someone to talk to. So like I said, build your tribe. If you don't know how to build your tribe, get a coach. There's a lot of relationship coaches. And now, again, not all of them will deal with open relationships. So that's another big thing, is that, you may get some like tantra or relationship coach. You're going to open up that you want to do open relationships, and they either will not be able to give you any advice, or they will judge you. Even if they will try very hard not to, you will feel that you are judged. So it's important to find a coach who actually deals with open relationships. And yes, so if you don't have a community and if you don't have other people you can talk to who have been practicing this for a while, I think a coach is a good idea. But again, it's okay to keep it small. The judgment will come, and I think at this time it's easier to just avoid situations when people attack you than actually be able to address those attacks. Okay, so okay, I had this question. I kind of answered it. It's what if you want an open relationship but your partner doesn't, or if the scenario is the opposite? So kind of like I mentioned before, you got to understand what is the most important for you. If you want to explore open relationships and your partner does not want it, and it's like a definite no, doesn't mean you're going to stay in your relationship and say no to being open, or doesn't mean you're saying yes to being open and saying no to your current relationship. It's not an easy yes or no. But at the same time, understand that everything flows and everything changes. And you may really want to be monogamous now, and maybe you want to be open in 2 years. Or maybe you want to be open right now, and in a year you will want to be closed again. These things fluctuate. But when it comes to the form of a relationship, if one of you really wants to be open and another one really wants to be closed, I honestly don't think this can work for long. I have a few friends who have tried this, and like one person really wanted a close relationship that was very, very strongly ingrained in them, and another person really wanted an open relationship. Understanding we also have natural tendencies and preferences. So some people are very strongly relating to the open relating much more than monogamy, and the other way around. So if you find yourself being on these extremes, you basically want very different things from life. And try to take it into any other area. Like, what if one of you really wants kids and the other one really doesn't? What if one of you wants to like live in the suburbs in the countryside, have a house, and another one is like, I don't want to live in a house, I want to be in a big city? It's yet one of those really big conversations. It brings values, beliefs, and what you want from life. So if you're not agreeing there, chances are you're not going to really last in this relationship for very long. So just be aware of it. Again, if a relationship ends, it's not like it's a failure. It's horrible that we consider ourselves a failure or in some way not good enough because a certain relationship came to an end. Yes, so even if that means the ending of a relationship, you can still remain friends, or maybe you will never talk to each other. It's fine too. But I would say, really be honest with yourself. What is it that you want? Not that your partner wants, but what is it that you really want, and follow that. And the final question is, so how do I know if I truly want an open relationship or if I'm just afraid of commitment, of monogamy? And this is great. And you know what? I can talk from my own experience here. So some people are asking me, like, they said, it sounds like you want a monogamy, but you're in an open relationship. I'm like, no, I actually want open relating. And I've been doing it for a while. And at first, I have to admit, I probably wasn't sure. There was a part of me that just wanted to have fun. And it's by the way, it's a very important stage in opening up. We've been sexually suppressed our whole lives, our whole, like, generation after generation. So very often when you talk about open relationship, it's about allowing our sexual desires to finally be expressed and just go and have fun. And so you may discover that you are gonna open a relationship, go a bit crazy sexually, and then you'll be like, okay, my need is satisfied. Now I'm okay with the closed monogamous relationship. In my case, I'm realizing that, okay, there is a certain form of an open relationship that I thought I want. Now that I've been in this environment for a while, I'm like, okay, so now I want that. So the form of an open relationship for me that I want has changed, but I still want open relating. So frankly, you may just have to go into it and see if you actually want an open relationship or not. And it may be an interesting test for you and your partner because, if you have these questions, we all have these questions, it's like there is a reason why fidelity is such a struggle, because pretty much all of us at some point of our lives were thinking of going with someone else. So what if you gave yourself this, let's say, I don't know, say like, okay, let's give ourselves a month or two where we can explore outside of this relationship. So we can actually see if we want to be in a monogamous relationship or if we want to be in an open relationship. It's kind of like, why do you do cake tasting for your wedding? Because you want to see which cake you actually like and which one you don't. And so sometimes it actually takes being in this and practicing it to know if you want to be in a relationship that's open or closed. Understanding that at different times of your life, you will want different things. I think that's also important because I always say that, who knows, in 3 years, I may want to have a close monogamous relationship. So understand it all flows. We want different things at different times of our lives because different forms of relationships will give us different experiences, different triggers, and different pleasures. And so see where you are right now, what's more important. I would say that people who naturally value freedom a lot, I'm one of these people, we would have a tendency to prefer open relationship. So like we talked about this abandonment wound, a lot of us have also this engulfment fear, so we need space. If our lover is too much on us, it's like, I'm suffocating, I cannot do that. So if that's the case for you, you may actually find open relationship to be more in line with your personality. But I would really say just go and try and see what works. And you're asking, also the same person is asking about some benefits of monogamy over open relationships. I once read this great article that basically said that and monogamy is the more advanced form of a relationship. That we live in the world where monogamy is the standard and like open relationship is considered something more advanced, more complicated that only a few people do. And the author was suggesting that we should live in an environment where open relationships are the standard, and those who will finally manage to work things can progress into a monogamous relationship. And you know what? I kind of agree with that. I think we have a very strong desire, sexual desire. We get bored easily. We live in times when there's all of this stimuli around us. We're like this. We constantly are looking for something else. We constantly think that the grass on the other side of the fence is greener. We find it difficult to be present. We keep thinking, what if? I deserve better. We're not satisfied with what we have. We're always chasing something. And in this mentality, actually, monogamy is super challenging. But you know what? I find it, for example, right now, is that I would like to spend more time with my lovers. But I can't because each one of us has to share time with other people. So in a monogamous relationship, you have more of the time of the other person. And because of that, you can go deeper because you have experienced more together. So you know each other more intimately. You can go deeper. I also find it beautiful to look at some monogamous relationships that are also sharing life purpose. So they're building something together. There's a lot of couples, spiritual couples, who do workshops for couples or anything else. I think these are beautiful. Because you merge, like you come to this world and you're not just lovers, but your partners, your business partners, your friends. But this kind of connection is very rare because many times when you meet someone and you're in love, you want them to be all of these things for you, but they can't. And that's kind of why we can go and explore other relationships so all of our needs can be met. In an open relationship, in a closed relationship, if you can find someone who can really meet all of those needs, that's a beautiful thing. And also let's remember, like I said before, different forms of relationships will trigger you differently and will give you different securities. In a closed relationship, you feel more secure that the person is not going to leave you, that you don't have to try so much. You don't have to worry, what if the other person is better? What if the other person is better in bed? What if they're better, looking? It's like having monopoly on the market. So that gives you security. You can kind of, relax and get a bit comfortable in a relationship. Because in an open relationship, you kind of always have to keep trying. I think you won't have to deal with jealousy as much because, again, this person comes home to you every night. And unless, cheating comes into place or lying, you don't have to be triggered around jealousy. And, when you're with someone in a close relationship, it's like you get to share a bit more, I think. So I had this situation once. I had a lover. We're very close. And I wanted to travel with them somewhere. And they felt uncomfortable because they felt like that may upset their other partner. And I would like to be in a situation when I can do these things together, like when I don't have to worry about what will, someone else say. You have to understand that in an open relationship, you're splitting your time into all of your lovers, that you're not just dealing with your own triggers and your own drama, but you're kind of taking responsibility and care of anyone else involved. So in a monogamous relationship, it's just the two of you. You're taking care of just the two of you. So it's a bit easier. But once again, I really think that it's what makes you happy. If at this time of your life you feel like you want to be in a monogamous relationship, then be. Look, my brother is happily married with a kid, and he is happy. She is happy. They would never want to go explore outside. So for some people, it's just exactly what they want. And so I wouldn't say like that one. I definitely don't say one is better than the other. It's really about understanding what you want. And once again, I would say just try both to see really what works for you. Okay, so these are the questions from you guys. I hope that the answers get you some more understanding. If you didn't submit your question or if there's anything else you would like me to talk about, feel free to comment below this video or always feel free to send me a message either via my Facebook page or email info@magdak.com. I know a lot of people prefer talking privately. That's fine too. If you're struggling with anything and you would like to, work with me together and guide you through something, then you can also just send me a message or visit my page magdak.com and check how to sign up for your trial coaching session if you would like to go deeper and work on your own specific situations. I'm available for that as well. In any case, feel free to comment, and if you're a hater, if you want to call me a slut, and if you want to express all of your hate towards the world as well, you know what? Just do it. I'm not going to filter it. This time, under this video, I'm not going to filter it. I'm giving space to all of the judgment and hate in the world. Express yourself if that's what you need to do. So many kisses, and I will catch you with some new awesome, juicy videos very soon. Mwah.